Everybody. So good morning or afternoon, depending on which part of the world you are in. And thank you so much for doing this fantastic event of women. So I've been trading for over 9 years. And when I first began, we barely even made 1% of the entire industry. And pretty much that was one of the main reasons I even started to become more vocal because I wanted to get a lot more women inspired to basically start trading, trading or even investing. That's another thing, it's a big thing is when women understand how to do this. And as much as I'm sure the majority of all the women that are presenting today, we all learned from men, which is a great thing, right? I mean, but we do see things a little bit differently, and that's the unique part of it all. So I'm so grateful for this amazing event. I know that Anka and David have been hosting, so thank you. And so I want to just do a quick hello before I jump in, and also I will be giving a little bit more of an intro about myself as well. I am Marina, the trader chick. That's me with one of my little favorite humans, and today I'm actually doing, a new presentation, something that I have been recognizing as a struggle with a lot of aspiring traders, even seasoned traders, and something that I actually had to go through to figure out after years of struggle. And today, what I'm going to be talking about is pretty much getting back to the basics of trading, getting back to the basics. This is something that I have recognized is such an important thing for all of us, right? If we don't have the super basics, a lot of times we overlook the basics and start to go for the hard stuff and not understand that if we don't understand the basics, we can't get to the hard stuff. So today I'm going to be going over a lot of that, which you'll be able to see, and I've seen this with so many of my students and just people that I talk with. Once they actually see this and they're like, oh my God, I have totally missed this, something that is super simple and basic. And all of a sudden it just escalated everything else for them. So I'm going to be talking about day trading versus investing, myths busting of day trading, because so many misconceptions are around day trading that once we realize that it's nothing but a misconception and a myth, it opens you up a lot more. What kind of things to trade? Trading lingo. It's amazing the amount of people that are donating money to the markets and don't even understand basic lingo, like what is resistance, what is support, what are reversal patterns, like super basic stuff that it's kind of like getting into a car and not knowing where the accelerator or the brakes are, right? Talking about the brokers, commissions, different platforms. I know a lot of people always have questions about that. Market movements, the patterns, indicators, and then the most important part about getting to the indicators and the actual technical analysis. So before we go on, I want to give a really quick intro of who I am. I am Marina, the trader chick. That is me with my family. I am an expat. I live in Antigua, Guatemala. And for me, it is still morning. So that's why I said good morning to everybody. So I am an expat living in Antigua. I speak 3 languages. And the main reason why I bring this up is because this was one of the reasons that I recognize that the market has a basic language that it speaks to us in, and that changed everything for me. So I am originally a Soviet Union refugee. I arrived to the United States when I was really tiny many years ago. So I do speak Russian fluently. It is my mother tongue. However, I was raised in the US, so as you could tell, English is my main language. However, I have now been living in Central America for over 20 years. We first lived in Costa Rica and then we moved to Guatemala. So I speak Spanish fluently. But the cool thing about learning a language in my later years, which is very different. If any of you are bilingual or trilingual, if you learn a new language later on, it's very different than when you're a child, right? I was speaking English within 2-3 months fluently when I was a child. However, when I learned Spanish, I was in my late 20s. And the process of learning that new language was really difficult, right? It was complicated. I shouldn't say difficult. It was just complicated. Everything had to first go through my brain, get translated, had to kind of understand what was going on and then speak it out. Then the same was coming back to me. And so it was a process, right? A slow one. And gratefully, there was many patient people that helped me. However, when I was committed and I was super committed to learning Spanish, one day after, a certain amount of time of really learning, I woke up and I just started to speak Spanish. There was no more guessing. There was no more interpreting, translating. I wasn't 100% fluent. I still am not, but I don't have to go through that process anymore. And that learning that new language in my later years really helped me with the trading. And that's something that I want to show you guys today to really get you there as well. Another thing, before I became a trader, I was a fitness instructor. I was actually one of the very first fitness instructors to teach spinning and Pilates in Manhattan. I don't know if any of you guys know those particular ones. So I did this a long time ago. I was a fitness instructor in Manhattan, New York. And also, I was a travel writer. I still am, I should say, a travel writer. And you can still find me on my website, on my travel site, which we use all. This was something that I started way before trading, because traveling for me was just, it's a necessity. It's not a luxury. And to be able to share it with others. So day trading, what makes it so great is that it allows you that lifestyle. It doesn't hamper your lifestyle, right? It doesn't shackle you, but you could use it and be able to trade it from anywhere in the world as long as there's internet. And today, to be honest with you, internet is pretty much everywhere. So before we really hop into the presentation, I have made a worksheet for you guys completely free that you guys could follow along with me as well, and really be able to understand, especially if David is recording this, so you could go back and look at it. So you could get it at makingofadaytrader.com. Makingofadaytrader.com. Go there right now. You can put your name in and you'll immediately get the free worksheet to go along with this. So remember, makingofadaytrader.com. All right, guys. All right, so let's first begin. Let's go to the basics. I love basics. This is my favorite thing. What in the world is day trading, and why is it not investing? So unlike investing, day trading, you do not diversify. I cannot even tell you the amount of people that come to me that want to learn how to day trade or have already been in the market losing or completely inconsistent because they are trading gold, they're trading SPY, they're trading Russell, they're trading crypto, they're trading all these different instruments. None of them are similar. So you cannot be in 4 different cars driving 4 different types of cars. You cannot be in a school bus, a Formula One car, and a minivan at the same time. And that's pretty much what's happening when people are saying they want to trade all these different markets. That is not going to make you more money. On the contrary, that is going to help you lose your money, because for day trading, it's too hyper focused, right? For investing, yes, that's amazing. And you want to diversify, but you cannot diversify in the beginning when you're trading. Think of it like this. Imagine your child comes over to you and says, hey, I want to learn how to play a musical instrument. And you say to them, okay, super. Which instrument do you want to play? And they'll be like, well, I want to play the piano, the drums, the flute, the guitar. And you look at them and you're just like, well, you can't play all 4. It's not possible. You need to start with just the one and then master that one, right? It's the same thing for day trading. Think of it as a musical instrument. Will you ever tell your child to go and play 4 at once? Absolutely not. So why are people trying to trade 4 or 5 or 8 different markets at the same time? It's not possible. So make your life easier. Find that one that you really love, master it, and then move on to the next one. Okay, so another thing with investors and day trading, very big difference. Investors actually care about the growth of the company. Day traders, we don't. We are in it for the intraday. That is literally the definition of day trading, right? So do I really care that Apple is going to come out with an iPhone 13? Not so much for today. Right now, today, I just want to see what the technicals are telling me. And that is super important, right? Because investors could sit through the dips and whatnot because they believe in the company overall. We don't care about that. On the contrary, you want to look at the ups and you want to also look at the downs, because it's really important to go either way. We do not care if the market is going up. We're looking for longs. And if the market is tanking, we'll be looking for the shorts, right? So that is the real humongous difference. Investors do not really short the market. They are in it for the long term. Okay. So ready to bust some of these myths. So swing trading, I have a question here. What is swing trading? So swing trading is holding on for several days to maybe even a couple of months. Again, incredibly different than day trading because you're in and out. And I personally am a scalper. That means the majority of the trades that I would look for are 1 to 3 minutes long. So swing trading, for instance, good example of swing trading would be if you're looking into a company that is about to come out with, like, for instance, the biggest swing trading stocks have been, the vaccines, right? With the vaccine stocks, Moderna, Azteca, Pfizer, because, there's so much like, okay, it's coming out with a new one. It's not coming, it came out with a new one, but it failed. That's swing trading. So that's the difference as well, right? So there's three very specific positions. Day trading, you're in and out the same day. Swing trading, you're holding for a little bit longer because you're waiting on like an anticipated move from the company that you're focusing on, and then holding, right? I mean, I've been holding on to my Apple for 12 years. So, but I trade the ES mini, and that is, within a few minutes. So you have to really understand that to be able to do it properly. Okay, so I want to get into some of these misconceptions or myths about day trading. Too risky and day trading is considered gambling, right? We all have heard this. Oops, hang on just a second. What's happening? We've heard this all the time, right? Oh my God, gambling. It's so gambling. That's because 95% of people, the thing is with day trading or the financial markets, there is no barrier to entry, right? Anybody who has money could just go and literally donate it to the markets. And when you have absolutely no idea what you're doing or looking at, guess what? It becomes a gamble. You cannot get into a car and somehow luckily be able to press, accelerator and be able to take it out of, first gear and go, right? If you don't know what you're doing, you are going to eventually crash, or the car is going to stall, or something's going to happen. It's the same thing with trading, right? So it's a process, it's a skill, it's something that you learn, it's a strategy. You can't just throw money at the market because somebody said something great about it, right? I mean, that's silly and it sounds ridiculous. However, that is what 95% of the people are doing, correct? I can guarantee you, because I started that way. I'm sure the majority of people in here have done it that way. And then they think it's gambling. However, if you have an incredibly solid strategy, you know where your stop losses are, you know where your targets are, you're busting the greed factor. You're also understanding that there is no such thing as a mental stop. You're putting all these into real terminology, like really understanding, and also really understanding what's going on the charts. If you can't read the charts, you're gonna be gambling, right? So understand that, and that will truly, truly, truly save you a lot of money. And the way you could do that with the avoiding that it's a gamble, you first learn the strategy and you learn it in simulation mode, right? Before you start to actually give real money. So another big misconception is that you need $25,000 to start. Interestingly enough, the majority of people, whenever I say a day trade or anything like that, like they automatically go to the stock market, which is understandable, right? Because that's pretty much what everybody knows. So with the stock market, yes, you do. If you want to trade equities, you do need $25,000 to start if you want to have a margin account, right? Which the majority of day traders want to do because they just want to be extra risky, right? Margin account is literally loan sharking, just so you guys understand. It is a nice, pretty way of saying we will lend you the money if you have nothing, but then you have to pay us back with interest on top. So you don't want to ever be there. So you can technically trade stocks as long as you don't have a margin account. However, have you guys thought about Forex? Futures, crypto, you could start with $500 for the majority of those. You do not need this kind of amount of money to start. Another thing that I hear a lot is that you need to be a math whiz with a financial background. Where I showed you where my background is. I was a fitness instructor and a travel writer. To be honest with you, if you have math and financial background, I think it could actually work against you because you start to overthink things. I have absolutely none of those, and gratefully, they never got in my way. It's never been an issue, and I love that. Okay, the fact that it's too stressful and chaotic. Yeah, for sure. If you have charts that look like this, I don't know about you guys, but I have one One chart is all that I use. This alone can really, really set me off. Like it triggers me on every level, right? I mean, it looks scary. Look at all that stuff that's going on, all those indicators. It's just too much. You literally can just do it with one. And that alone will completely eliminate all that stress and chaos in your life. Okay. So that's a myth because we see it so many times in all these, Wall Street type movies, all these charts and indicators and flashlights. That's a myth. You do not need any of that. And that's the beauty of it. And the same thing goes for the softwares and indicators. So this is something I really want to talk to you guys about because I cannot even tell you the amount of people that come to me saying that they have spent thousands of dollars on buying different softwares, indicators, algorithms, even bots, and none of them work. And the what thing that keeps on going on over and over again is that the majority of these softwares and indicators and all of this additional stuff that people are buying, they need to be updated. And the people that have created them tell you, okay, it's time for an update. You got to give us another installment of money. So it becomes nothing but a business. And I have spoken to so many people, and I cannot give a single positive go on that. Like there has never been anybody that I have met that actually is making money from all of these, right? The only thing we day traders need, the only thing, and it's literally like if you're playing a musical instrument, you need to get the flute. If you guys are driving a car, you need to have a car. What do day traders need? They need a charting platform. You cannot do this without a charting platform. You do need to invest in a charting platform. Good charting platforms have myriad of universal indicators that you could use for free. Some of them even offer you other perks and benefits. But yes, that is the only thing that you truly need. And that will be a software, a platform. Okay. So please do not buy indicators, softwares, algorithms. They are not going to work. They are lies. And alerts, that's the other thing. That's another beautiful thing that people think they need is to get alerts, right, on their trades. This is the deal, guys, and it is proven. By the time you get that alert, it's already gone. It's already been passed. If you're on some trade alert newsletter or system, by the time those people are telling you that, they've already been in and out. By the time you're getting it, it's already chasing the trade and you've already lost. So if you don't believe me, I totally cool with that, but you could check on your own. And I know the majority of you who are sitting here have been doing that, probably like, yeah, you know what, you're right. I've done it. It doesn't really work. I recommend saving your money and just putting it into your own education so you can understand what you are doing. Really, really, really important. Research and the news. I call this the telenovelas and the melodramas because it is really just that. I don't know about you guys, but go and watch CNBC or any of these, money, I don't even know, and watch the people who are talking. First of all, they all have some sort of an agenda going on. They are all heavily invested in that thing that they're talking about, either one way or another, even though they'll never let you know. They love to hear their own voices. They love to hear themselves talk. It is just ridiculous, right? And it's interesting. For instance, we could have all the information we need. For instance, you want to go in on Amazon. Amazon is a solid, amazing stock, blah, blah, blah. But overnight, and this happened. This is true story. We found out that Jeff Bezos was getting a divorce. The next day, the stock is tanking. Why? How does that have any effect on Amazon? None, zero whatsoever, right? But it tanked that stock. So if your money is in there, you're part of that melodramatic nonsense, right? And I remember this happening with Goldman and Sachs. The CEO was cheating on his wife. Like, who cares? How does that affect us at all? But the stock went down 50%. These are lies. These are unimportant. These are stupid news that you really should not waste your time with, right? It is toxic. And also remember, this is a really important thing to remember. Always buy on the rumor if you are going to go for any of it and sell on the news. It's just how it goes, right? So just remember that. Do I trade only one particular instrument? Yes, I do. I only trade the ES. That's it for the trading. I invest, and that is a completely different story, but I know the difference. So once you guys mastered that one instrument, then you can move on. A good example of instruments, we all know who Liberace is, right? I don't care if you like him or dislike him, but we all could agree he was a phenomenal pianist. I can guarantee you, if he picked up another instrument, he would probably master it. But why would he? Piano was his thing. It was also giving him a super living. It was his passion. He didn't have to move on to another one. Why do traders think they have to go into multiple instruments, right? So market research. This is something like I was just mentioning before, right? We could put in hours upon hours of market research and only to find out that some silly melodrama happened, something that we have absolutely no control over. And unfortunately, that happens a lot more with individual stocks. And I find that also with Forex, right? Because you're doing with the different pairs. And a lot of times, a country, two political leaders could have some sort of a stupid fight, and all of a sudden, that money really, your pair is really affected. So I find that to be really, really, really the ones that are hit on the most. And you could spend hours upon hours of research, and it still won't matter because the melodramas and the soap opera tactics happen. However, for instance, why I love the ES is because it's not only about the ES, it's the indexes overall. Like it's 500 companies, the EX, the Russell's 2000. Chances of some sort of a drama happening all at once to all of those stocks is really, it's pretty uncommon. So you get to focus only on the technical analysis, and that's the beauty of it, right? You don't have to waste all that time. And we got into day trading is not to spend hours upon hours of research and then sitting in front of the charts, is to have that freedom, right? So this, once you understand that, and you could go and focus on an instrument that you could focus strictly on the technical analysis, really helps that much more, right? Another thing is, and this is huge, guys, and I can guarantee you right now in the room, probably 50 to 80% have had a trigger happy finger. This is a real thing. It's a syndrome with the day trading community, especially. There's this belief that it's nonstop action, that we have to be in and out of trades all the time. Totally untrue. The second that I realize that I could just go for 1 to 2, maximum 3 solid, really powerful, high probability trades, everything changed. I was doing 40 to 60 per day. Yeah, I mean, it's totally ridiculous and stupid. And the commissions alone were eating me alive, right? So I hate this particular, um, I guess, analogy, but it's the best one out there. Imagine a big game hunter, right? Do they go out and start shooting at every little insect that crawls, or even like a little prairie dog or a field mouse? No, they are looking for the big game. So as much as I hate the whole thing about hunting, but it's probably the most vivid one that we can understand. Think of yourselves as that and go for the big game, those high probability trades. And I actually have this challenge that I give my students before they go live is 1 month of just focusing on one really strong trade per day. And it's amazing the amount of other crap that they realize what they were taking before and filtering out for that really good one. And that really gives you that basis and your foundation, right? And remember, the most radical way to trade is conservatively. Being a conservative trader is sustainable. Your aggressive behavior will not work. Trust me on that. I've been doing this for years, and we hear a lot of really aggressive traders talk about their huge wins, but we also never hear about their humongous losses. So remember that being conservative is really the best way to go. Okay, small profits daily will bring you the big profits yearly. This is a long haul, right? This is not a sprint. You want to do this long term, and the best way to do it is to really focus on the best trades. Okay, yes, you could go for the big targets, you could do whatever you want, but remember, when you're going for the bigger targets, you're also putting up a lot more risk, and you cannot do that in the beginning. You need to know what you are doing. All right, so let's talk about really quickly what to trade, right? So we know that 25% pretty much of the market is stocks. As a matter of fact, now I would say it's more like 20%, 20%, right? We have obviously Forex, it's an enormous market. Like I mentioned before, I'm personally not a huge Forex lover simply because the US, especially during Trump, like there was a lot of conflictions and a lot of political indecisions and whatnot. And it just affected the currencies, right? So you have to be really, really aware of that and just be constantly on the international news. So just know that when you're doing it. Stocks, as I mentioned before, the amount of research you need to do is a lot before you get into any stock you want to trade. And the other thing is, a lot of people are like, oh, I trade stocks. Do you guys realize there's over 5, maybe even almost 10,000 stocks out there? All sorts, penny stocks to big caps, right? So if you are going to focus on the stock market, maybe, I know a lot of people that are only trading Tesla, Apple, Amazon, or just like a sector, pharmaceuticals, entertainment, tech, or just indexes. You need to also minimize your own stress and find what you like the most, right? And you can do well, but you have to really niche down. Okay, futures. So that's what I personally do is the S&P 500, which is called the ES minis on the futures markets. But we all know futures as commodities, right? This is where you have crude, you have gold, you have indexes, wheat, soy, but you could also trade the indexes on there, which makes it so much better and easier simply because you're not putting up the entire amount of the index. You're only putting in, for instance, I only go in with 1 point, so it's only $50 risk for and $50 reward, right? So it's not a lot of money. And this way you could learn and go with the smaller amounts rather than putting in huge amounts all at once. Options, we all know that options is a huge market. I personally don't know options. I cannot give any reference on that. I do know that it's quite risky, and it could expire before, with whatever reason and stop you out, just to letting you know. And there's obviously crypto, right? Obviously, Bitcoin is the main one, but cryptocurrencies, there's over, I don't know, almost 6,000 different altcoins, right? That you could, a lot of people are day trading. This is still, very new, uncharted waters. The technical analysis isn't going to be as important as it would, let's say, with the ES minis. However, a lot of people are, and crypto, you could start with like $10, $100, right? It depends on the platform that you're using. So there are so many options. But again, even with crypto, which one are you going to focus on? Like I said, there's 6,000 altcoins. So you really need to also narrow down and understanding what you want to do with that particular crypto code. Okay. I want to also do a little demystification of brokers and margin accounts. Like I mentioned before, margin accounts are literally loan sharking. It's just a nice way of saying it. So if any of you guys are in margin accounts right now, remember, you are not benefiting from it. Your broker is. Why? Because you all of a sudden you have a lot more spending money available to you, but it's not your money, right? So you have to understand that, and many people do not get that. So if you are into stocks and you have $25,000 and you want to buy in on something, and and you need a little bit more of whatever, you have that with your margin. But what if you lose it all? Guess what? Not only have you lost all your money, but now you've also are in debt to your broker. And on top of being in debt to your broker, you are also paying an interest. Do you want to be there? Is this where you guys want to go? I always say, do not trade money that you need to feed your family. And when you're getting into that margin, it's going in there, right? Because you obviously don't have that money on hand. So get rid of your margin accounts. You can easily tell your brokers, I'm not interested, and they will take that out. Okay. They automatically give it to you because they are the only ones winning with margin accounts. Just remember that. And also another thing that's really important is commissions and understanding different live feeds and commissions. So there are many different brokers out there. First of all, you definitely need to be with a reputable broker. I have had so many people come to me that went with boutique brokers and lost it all, and there's no way to get it back. They are completely, because when you're, trading, it's not secured. So know that. So there's different commissions, right? Like if you're trading futures, there are brokers that work with futures that are a lot less money, go for a lot less commission versus, let's say, TD Ameritrade, which is a really great, solid broker. However, their specialty is equities. So if you're going to be trading futures with them, chances are you are gonna have to pay almost double the commission than what a broker that specializes in futures is. Another really important thing is live feeds. A lot of the charting software that we talk about, you will be paying for a live feed. Usually depends on how much what kind of feed you want. But if you're only focusing on that one instrument, it could be only as much as $7. But if if you want to go and watch all the markets, which I highly do not recommend, you could be paying up to $35 per month. What for? Right? You don't need that. Okay, so platforms, you cannot trade without a platform. I'm going to say this again and again and again. I have people that are like, oh, I'm on eToro or Robinhood, or like something that there is no charting platform, but they're day trading. If you're investing, it's a whole other story. Day trading, you need a charting software. There are many out there. TD Ameritrade has Thinkorswim. There's NinjaTrader. There's Sierra Charts. There's TradingViews. There's so many different ones. When you choose the right one, make sure that it's one that you could trade off of the interface. You do not want to be going into a dome, okay? Because that time could be really lost and it could become very confusing. All right, I want to go over really quick day trading lingo because, like I said before, I'm amazed the amount of people that do not understand basic lingo and they are giving their money already. It's your hard-earned money. Really understand what is it that you're doing with, right? Warren Buffett is the investor he is today because of the due diligence he is doing. I mean, he's known to read 500 pages per day. And a lot of us are like, I want to be the next Warren Buffett, and they don't even understand the difference between investing and trading. So intraday trading, you're literally in and out of all your positions before the day ends. That's it. Bull market, it's when the market is going up. I know that we've heard this, but it's really important to understand. It's when it's trending up, when the market is going up. Bear market, the exact opposite. It's when the market is trending down, when it's going down. And we have a sideways market, which is crucial to understand because this is where the majority of the money gets lost because it is an indecision area. It is an exhaustion pattern. It's what you guys call the chop. Okay, and it's really, really important to understand and stay out of these types of markets. Okay, we have to have profit targets. Let's get this clear, guys. Greed is a real problem. All right, greed really gets you. And I cannot tell you the amount of times people are like, oh my God, all right, I had my profit in, but looked like the market was going to continue in that direction. And I removed it and boom, it turned and went and stopped me out because you got greedy. Have your profit target, have it. Okay, it's like an archer. They know they could probably shoot that arrow another 300 feet behind the bullseye, but they're still hitting that target. Get your target, get that money in. And then once you are confident enough, you can figure out how to do split targets, which allows you to go for another target, but you already have money in the bank and you've already put your risk management at break even. And I'm not even gonna go into the whole risk management thing about the whole mental bullshit stop that we tell ourselves that we're putting in. If you don't have a real stop there, your ego will always win and you will always get stopped out way more because what happens is when the market starts to go in the opposite direction, our ego is like, no, it can't, it's not going in the right direction. It's going to turn and boom, we lose it all. Guys, you need to have risk management. Charts, I'm going to say this once again. This is our holy grail. You cannot become an artist without a canvas. You cannot become a race car driver without a car. You cannot become a musician without a musical instrument. We need our charts. Indicators. I personally use 2 indicators. Again, all the charting software, if it's a good charting software, they have universal indicators. You do not need to buy indicators. Okay, trending markets. I just said that before. We have the up, we have the down, and we have the sideways. You need to understand that there are 3 trends in the market. Buy. What is buy? You also probably heard it going long. You're getting in at a lower price range, getting out at a higher price range. You're buying. Okay, this is what this looks like. You have to understand this is what it looks like, right? You're buying low and getting out high. What are you doing when you're selling? Shorting the market. And again, guys, if you are not shorting or shorting the market, you are not a day trader because day traders do not care if it's going up or down. It's technical analysis. So what is shorting? Literally the easiest way to explain it, you're entering at a higher price, exiting at a lower price, and you're taking the money in between, the profit in between. That is what shorting of the market. Okay, day traders, we do not enter market. You guys have probably heard the word slippage. If you enter market, you immediately lose almost 25% of your trade automatically. So you always have to know where you are entering, because if you're putting in a market entry, chances are you're kind of just guessing, because you need to know where you are entering. So you have to have a limit order, or it's called order waiting for you to enter before you get in. And you have to have that stop limit. I'm going to say this again and again. Get your risk in place, guys. Do it. Put it there and do not move it. Not in the beginning, not until you are getting your targets filled over and over and over and over and over again. It's all about the confidence. Okay. Technical analysis. I have mentioned this several times. What technical analysis is, it's literally understanding the movements of what the market is telling you. It is understanding and reading what is happening with the market, with the areas, divergences, reversal patterns, indicators. You have to understand this, and technical analysis is number one for day trading. Investing, again, completely different. So what are areas? The two most important areas are resistance and support. What is resistance? Resistance is literally the ceiling. It is the ceiling of the market, right? It is where the pivots are hitting over and over and over again, 3 or 4 or more times. It is an area that is revisited, and it's also an area that is respected by the market. And if you don't respect it, guess what? You could get in and boom, it could hit that ceiling. And sometimes it doesn't matter the strength, it could hit it like a brick wall and go right back. You need to stay away when you see these. I actually call support resistance areas kind of like the safety gear, as we would if you're a Formula One driver. When you get in that car, you have your helmet, you have your seatbelt, you have all the safety gear on. Support and resistance areas are exactly like that. It protects you. What is a support area? It's where the market hits you over and over and over again at the bottom. It's the floor of the market, and it gets revisited, and you need to know what it is. Reversal patterns. These are the best telltale signs, right? What are reversal patterns? We have double tops, triple tops, double bottoms, triple bottoms, head and shoulders. It's when it is a very high potential that the market will be changing direction. You never want to be in the wrong side of the market. Now, divergences. You guys have heard of divergence. It's when the pivots of the price action are moving in one direction versus the pivots going in the opposite direction with whatever indicator you're using. I personally use the Macds. But in this case, but you guys could also use the RSI. There are many different ones. It's checking out those divergences. They really, really, really work. So remember, guys, now we're going to put it all together. You can get everything here, everything that we just went over, and a lot more in the free document, makingofadaytrader.com. Remember, makingofadaytrader.com. You can get that cheat sheet here. Matt, what kind of style of candle is that? I used to use the bar with a ball on it. It's a high-low. I don't do that anymore. I am now completely into candles. I prefer them. They're much lighter on the computer as well. I want to talk about breaking out areas. Just a really quick observation. And David, what time frame do I personally trade? Since I do day trading, right? But I'm also a scalper. I personally don't do time frames. I really love tick charts. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a tick chart, but what tick charts are is I personally use 610 tick chart, and it's 610 transactions per bar. So when you look at a bar, there are 600 transactions that are happening, and I even have a counter. So basically what it is, it's a volume in real time. I'm seeing what is happening in that moment. So I want to show you guys a breakout just really fast to understand. First of all, we're trending up. We have this massive resistance area that is forming almost a sideways area, right? So what is a breakout trade? Because breakouts are something that we hear over and over again, and we know that they are some of the best kinds of trades out there, right? But if you don't know what you're looking for, you can miss the breakout trades. So basically, what is a breakout trade? Imagine you guys are getting into your car. and going to visit a friend that you have visited a gazillion times, right? And you know that they live completely north of you. You get into your car and you're starting to drive north. And all of a sudden, there's a construction site and you have to go to the right, to go east. And all of a sudden you start to freak out. Oh my God. Well, I do. I personally do during detours. What if they don't have the detour drawn all over the place correctly? What if they don't, what if they never open the road again? What if I have to turn back and I don't know these areas? What if I get lost in this tiny little towns? All these negative thoughts are going through your head, right? And it's basically indecision. But all of a sudden, the construction worker opens the highway again, and they're like, okay, you're in the clear, continue. That is a breakout. Boom, you have that massive confidence and you're headed up north again. That's that breakout. But if you don't know where that indecision part happened, you will never be able to just continue, right? So we're heading north. There's a massive detour and you break out. You break out, boom, it's renewed confidence and you take out that trade. So this is how I do my trades. Like I said earlier, I use two indicators. I use EMA lines, which is the exponential moving averages, and MACDs. I love the MACDs. They are my favorite. They are the ones that I personally find them to be the least lagging indicator of all, because what it does is shows me where there is strength and where there's the beginning of weakness in the market before it actually happens. And we always want to be on the right side of the market, correct? And in this case, that's exactly what this is showing me right here. There's massive strength in the MACDs, massive movement, massive breakout. It returns back to my EMA line. So the way I use the EMA lines is going back to the archery example. Archers, the people who are with the bows and arrows, they don't walk around on fields just like that, right? Aimlessly. They have a very particular place they stand from, and they have a very particular place they shoot their arrow to. This is where I am shooting my arrow from. This is where I stand from to enter my trade. And like I mentioned before, you never want to go in market. So I have this movement here. I'm already seeing here, and I'm already with my limit order waiting right here and bringing it up to this area. And if it fills me, awesome, I get in. But everything here is telling me that this is where I enter. And that's how I use all of that for my trades. And remember, again, makingofadaytrader.com. You could get all of that here. Okay, Joe, I'm actually going to go into the live market and show you guys my charts and how I use everything. So hang on one second. All right, guys, just give me a holler that you could see my charts. Say, yes, I could see my chart. Ooh, what did I just do? Hang on one second. Awesome. Okay, so before we go anywhere, so you guys could do a quick, I guess you could jot this down. Here are my indicator setups. So I use 3 EMA lines. I use the 52 EMA line. That is my main EMA line right there. That red one, it is where I decipher if the market is trending up or trending down, because you always want to be on the right side of the market, right? Then I have my 20 EMA line, which is this purple line right there. That is from a smaller time frame. I used to actually trade from 3 monitors. And when I realized if I put the 3 EMAs from the 3 different time frames, I was able to just focus on the one chart, which completely simplified my life. It has changed everything. Let me just grab some water. One second. Excuse me. Okay. And then I use the longer time frame, which is the 135 EMA line right here. And it is a bigger, deeper time frame. Now, my MACDs, I actually use the universal MACD settings, 12 fast, 26 slow, smooth as 9. So when you guys set up your MACDs, you will have 3 plots. And this does not make a difference which platform you are using, because I have used many platforms and they all are the same. So when you go for the MACDs, you have the MACDs, the average, and the difference, right? You have those 3. So what I do is I remove the average and the difference. I just make it transparent because it's just too much noise. And I prefer to only look at my MACDs because that's all I actually need. Okay, so those are my indicators. Oh, another thing that I do use, and like I mentioned before, I use the 610 tick chart, right? So you can see here, like I said, I am ES mini. So the ES is literally the S&P 500 index on the futures market. And I use the 610. And again, ticks is very universal. Oops, hang on just 1 second. Let me show that to you. Ticks are universal. It's just a time frame. It's very common. So it's not something super unique or you have to pay extra for. Pretty much every software has ticks. So basically, as you can see here, I don't use a volume indicator because this is it right here. You see my tick counters? I use the candlesticks now, and each candlestick has 610 transactions. So if it's moving super quick, that means there's a lot of volatility. But if it's super slow, like right now, I could tell, you know what, it's also lunchtime. Lunchtime is usually super slow. I could actually count the ticks. That's how slow and there's no volatility, right? So you want to be in the market when there's a lot of volatility. How long do you trade per day? No more than 30 minutes to an hour. There's no possible way otherwise. What do you remove again? So from the Macds, I remove the average and the difference. Okay, so I just want to go over really quickly of what I was talking about with all the lingo that we were talking about, right? As you can see, the market is definitely trending up and it's been doing quite well. It's been doing really well, especially with the stimulus checks being approved, all this other stuff, vaccines, there's all these things happening, right? So we have been moving up. However, I totally pay attention to resistance and support areas. And this right here is a mini consolidation area, mini sideways movement, channeling market, right? And I understand that. And I know that I don't want to be any part of it. So when I'm seeing this kind of movement, this kind of behavior, I stay out of the market because this is where I can guarantee, you know what? I can totally guarantee and make a bet with you guys 90% of your winnings gets lost in the sideways markets, in the chop, in the indecision areas. It is common, and I call it the trader's worst enemy. And you guys could go back to your trading journals and you can totally see your back testing, right? And if you guys are not back testing, stop right now and just give the money away or stop trading right away because back testing is literally identical to imagine a surgeon. Imagine your child needs an operation and it could save their lives. You arrive to the surgery and the doctor is like, you know what? I had this really cool idea last night about a new operation and I'm going to try it on your kid today. That's what traders do when they think they might have a new trade setup idea. They go in a live market without having any idea if it's going to work. You need to back test it. You need to back test it, back test it, back test it, back test it. If you don't, please stop because you are literally just donating that money to the market. And back testing is the greatest possible way you could save money. How can you back test this setup? Oh, I have back tested this setup 1,000 times. This to me is a consolidation area. Now, I don't know if it's going to go up or if it's going to go down because you could never predict the market. But I do know if it breaks through, and it does, I am now sitting and waiting for a breakout trade. I have tested that breakout trade a gazillion times and it works. It works and it works. Okay, and here right now we are in a massive sideways market. That means I am not touching this area right now. And where is it going to go next? I don't know. I'm not predicting it. But what I do know is the market is going to tell me, and I'm going to be ready either way. If it's going to break out, I'm waiting for that breakout. If it's going to be a transition, I'll be waiting for that transition. And it all is in the language. It's in that breakout. It's in once it gives me that strength. There's all these amazing, amazing free simple ways to understand the market. And that's exactly what I do. And this is how I look at it. And that is in the, hang on 1 second, in the document that I gave you guys for free. So please go there, makingofadaytrader.com. Okay. And you guys will get that. Now, imagine if we could actually do this together every single week. Imagine all of this we could be done because this is actually the most fun part of this presentation. Because the one thing that I have to ask you guys, especially the people that are self-educating a lot of times, is It's great to self-educate. I did it for years. Unfortunately, it takes up a lot of time because you're not really sure what is right or wrong. But at the end of the day, how do you actually know if you're doing it right? That is the big issue. How do you know if you're doing it right after you've self-educated and started implementing? How do you know if it's the right thing to do? So let me break it down for you. When you get this cheat sheet, you immediately get put on an exclusive VIP list that I will be sending out to you. And I want to encourage you to get this free cheat sheet because only you guys will be on this VIP list. And this could truly be a turning point for you guys. Now, once you get on this VIP list, once you go to makingofadaytrader.com, you'll get a special invite coming into your inbox that only will go to the people that are in this presentation right now. So here's what I have for you. So many people ask me about the different programs that I offer, and I normally hold back because I don't want you guys just having another product. However, I did create something super special, Simplifying Day Trading Futures course. It is my signature program. It is broken down into short, bite-sized videos and explanations that literally you could see anywhere, and you could access it from any apparatus, your iPhone, Android, desktop, laptop, iPad, wherever. So it's literally, it's in essence as if though I am sitting with you side by side. And again, I could only make this special invite for you guys when you go to makingofadaytrader.com. So make sure that you go there and you will be put on that special list. Now, let's go back to how do you know you're doing it right? And this is what I'm offering only to the participants that are here today. 6 months one-on-one mentorship, coaching. You will get one-on-one, so you do not have to guess if you are doing it right. Okay, you get one-on-one coaching, mentorship with me. And on top of that, you get to implement all that we learn in my free live trade chat room. I have a weekly live trade chat room, and only for you guys, on top of the 6 months, you will also get 3 free days with the membership where it's just me. I do not hire moderators. It is all about me. We work together, so it's more access, talking, but in the live market, applying and implementing everything that you are already learning. Okay, and because the program is so robust and has so much information, I want to give you guys lifetime unlimited curriculum access. So you will have lifetime access for this particular program. Again, you have to go to makingofadaytrader.com. Now, I'm not going to tell you the price because the thing is, it's literally less than one average trade you guys are spending. I can guarantee you it's less than the average trade, this entire program that is going to completely exponentially give you a sustainability, profitability, and consistency. And it will be less than one trade that you do per day. But here is the real thing. Here's the thing, guys. Because I could only have so much energy for one-on-one, I'm only opening it up to 25 people. So only 25 spots are available for my one-on-one mentorship because I can only give my full attention to so many people because I want to truly commit to your trading. Okay, so remember, makingofadaytrader.com. So when you sign up for this, you immediately get put on the special VIP list. You will get 6 months of one-on-one mentorship with me and 30 free days in my live trade chat room membership. Again, it's how do you know if you're doing it right? How do you know if you're doing it right? And that's really, really the most important part. Okay, so another question, what times of the day do you trade? So that's a really good question. I do trade minis. Minis are pretty much a 24-hour a day market, except they do close for Saturdays and they close for 30 minutes for maintenance. However, it is the S&P, right? So it is pretty much the most amount of movement is going to be during the US hours, which is 9:30 to 4. And within those time frames, you have we call it the morning session, which is usually 9:30 till 11:30 in the morning. That's when the most volatility is in the morning session. And then people go to lunch, right? And lunch is usually slow. You could certainly still trade, just as long as you understand that it's, less people are in that time zone. I mean, in that time frame. And then we have the afternoon session, which is usually as lively as the morning session. And that is usually from 1 till around 3:30 p.m. I personally am not a fan of 9:30 till 10 in the morning and 3:30 to 4 in the afternoon. I call it the amateur hour. It's usually when everybody just kind of goes in and starts buying or selling and doing crazy stuff without a lot of consideration and thought. And then it dies down, and that's when the market really starts to get momentum, usually around 10 a.m. So that's when I live in Guatemala. So for me, I'm 1 or 2 hours behind. And that's usually when I set the kids up to get to school and all this other stuff. So I personally love to trade in the afternoon session. And that's usually between 1 to 3:30. And at 3:34, it's a joke between amongst traders that's when the majority of people are desperate to just get out and either take whatever tiny little earnings they have or not to get too many losses, because it's called amateur hour, right? And you have to remember that you are going to be dealing with amateurs. But overall, the markets are, pros. And once you are in the actual heart of those sessions, it flows a lot smoother, right? So hopefully that made a little bit more sense, Elizabeth. All right, guys, I am about to sign off because it's my time almost. And I just first of all wanted to say thank you. And I really hope that you guys got the basics from here. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of John. If you have, hang on a second, sorry. Okay, sorry. Have you ever heard of John Wooden? He was one of the most famous basketball coaches in the world for the NCAA. He has over 10 NCAA championships. He is one of the best coaches ever. And the reality is, every single year when he started with his all-star basketball team, he started from the basics. He was teaching them how to tie their shoe, how to roll up their socks. Why? Because if your shoe isn't tied properly, your sock is rolling down, you're going to get blisters. Guess what? That's going to affect how you play the game. So you need to go back to the basics. And that's hopefully what I helped you with today, because that will really give you that foundation. And if you guys have any questions at all, you could reach me at thetraderchick@gmail.com or anything the Trader Chick. And again, thank you so much for taking your time to be with me, and enjoy the rest of this awesome week of presentations. Thank you, everybody.